Hello, in today's video I'm going to be sharing 10 tips and tricks that will help you score higher in every MCQ exam. But before we go into this video, I need to emphatically say that learning tricks should not substitute for actual studying and preparation for your exam. However, knowing those tricks could make a lot of difference on this, because you will agree with me that just 1 mark is the difference between pass and fail. Likewise, just a single mark could be the difference between distinction and very good. So it is okay to learn those tricks because they could come under some days. So welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Wealth. I'm a third year medical student of UI. And on this channel, we have a community of students who are intentional about growth. Feel free to join the community by clicking on the subscribe button. I have 10 tips for you. The first 6 are general tips that everyone should know if you're taking MCQ exams. And the last 4 are tricks that will help you pick the right answer, even if you didn't study the topic, are confused, or have forgotten the answer. So I believe this will be helpful. Let's go into the first tip. Number 1, know the nature of your exam and prepare for it accordingly. Before your exam, you should know what sort of exam you are going to be writing. We have different kinds of MCQ exams. We have one that attracts negative marking and one that don't. So if you're writing an MCQ exam that attracts negative marking, you should definitely know that you are not allowed to guess blindly, else you're going to lose so much mark. But if you are writing a normal exam, like most of the exams we come across, they usually do not attract negative marking. In this sort of exam, you are free to guess, but I'm going to show you how not to guess blindly, how to guess like a genius at the end of this video. And how are you going to know what kind of exam it is you are preparing for? It is by checking past question papers. There is no video I'm talking about studying without emphasizing on the need of past questions. They are very important. So you should check the past questions to see what kind of questions are asked, and that will guide the way you prepare for the exam. Tip number 2 is to stay as positive and as calm as you can possibly be. Normally in exams, there's usually a baseline of exam tension. Now, when you are attempting the question and the first few questions you attempt seems very difficult, there's a possibility that you assume that the rest of the exam is going to be difficult, and this tends to limit your ability to even try. Some people will just give up on the exam and believe they failed already, whereas there are questions that are not as difficult that you could answer, and some of the questions that seem difficult at first are actually things you can solve. I need you to always remind yourself anytime you are facing such situation in exam that okay, this set of questions are difficult does not mean others are going to be difficult, and because it seems difficult does not mean I can't solve it actually. So what I advise you to do is to cycle those questions, and if possible just leave that particular section and move to another section which seem easy. By the time you start solving questions you can actually solve, you are going to be encouraged to tackle the more difficult ones. This is particularly important for people taking calculative subjects like physics, mathematics. When you look at a question at a glance, the question might seem like huge and you might just conclude there's no way I'm going to know this. But when you start solving it, you realize, oh, it is not even as difficult as I imagined. So this second tip is about staying positive regardless of how difficult the exam seems to be to you. Tip number 3 is that do not waste too much time on a particular question. First, because most of the question or all questions carry the same mark. And there's also something about our brain. If we put some information in our brain processes this information and try to give solutions to such information even when we are not aware. And you could take advantage of this human ability. Anytime you see a difficult question, just read through that question and think about it just for a few seconds, then cycle the question and move on to the next. When you are solving the other questions you can solve, your mind is subconsciously trying to figure out the answer to that question even if you are not aware. And it is also possible that along the line you are going to find another question that is an indicator to the first question, because examiners do that sometimes. So anytime you meet any difficult question, read it once, think about it for a few seconds, then move on to the next. Make sure you circle it so you will not miss it at the end of the paper. You can go back to that particular question and see if you know it. And if you still don't, some of the tricks I'm going to be talking about later in the video will help you increase your chance of picking the right answer. Tip number 4, don't jump to pick an option when you've not checked other options. This is one reason why people come out from exam all happy, thinking that they've aced the exam. Meanwhile, they've chosen the wrong answers. Examiners usually put options that will confuse you, and the way you will know that this option is just to confuse you is by checking other options. In fact, when you're answering MCQ exam, you have to pick the best fitting answers Two answers might seem correct, or they might actually be correct, but one is usually the most suitable for the question. Don't jump at picking an option when you've not checked other options. Let me give you this simple example. 50 centimeter plus 50 centimeter equals to what? If you are not careful, you just say 50 plus 50 equals to 100. Then you can see 100 in the option, you just jump at it. Meanwhile, the units do not correspond. Centimeter is not the same thing as meter, but the right answer is 1 meter, because 100 centimeter to meter is 1 meter. You can see that. So please pay attention to the options. The second part of this fourth tip is also to always pay attention to the question. In some question, it could be all of this except. Please, anytime you see all of these things, make sure you are paying attention to it, because that single word is going to change what the answer is going to be. For example, if they say which of this is not correct, don't pick which is correct. Number 5 is to anticipate the correct answer. After reading the question, before you read the option, anticipate what the correct answer is going to be, but do not waste your time doing that. And if nothing is coming up, just go straight to the option and see it. But the reason why it is good to anticipate the answer to the question before checking the option is because when you have the answer in mind, you are less likely to be confused by the other options that is placed there to confuse you. Tip number 6 is to cross-check your work after finishing your exam. Every time I'm writing an exam, I usually utilize my time properly. If I'm done, I will spend the remaining time cross-checking. And one of the reasons why I should cross-check is to avoid putting the right answer in the wrong box. This is a possibility if you are not careful enough. Okay, now let's go into the tricks. But before we go into these tricks, I need to say that all those tricks do not work for all situations, but any situation you find them useful, please use them. Trick number 1 is how to figure out the formula to solve a particular question from the options. Let me give you this particular example. I never read elasticity while I was preparing for the exam, and I met this particular question in the exam hall. How am I going to solve it? The first thing I'm going to do is to take a look at the option. The option is in Newton per meter. Then I can see that it means a value in Newton is divided by a value in meter. I know that there is division there. Then I will go back to the question. There is a force of 0.8 Newton. That's a particular value. I know, okay, I found the Newton guy. Then I found another thing in centimeter. So the first thing I'm going to do is convert this 2 centimeter to meter. That's 0.02 meters, right? Then I can now divide according to the formula. I can now divide 0.8 by 0.02, and that will give me 14 Newton per meter. You see, without studying elasticity, I've just managed to get myself 1 score higher. This also works for more difficult complex. It works for other subjects like economics and so on too. The second trick is eliminating. You should not be guessing blindly in an exam. If you are answering a particular question and the options all seem confusing, or you are not sure what the answer is, the first thing to do is to practice the elimination method. If you have a 4-option question or a 5-option question, there's usually 1 or 2 that is going to be obviously wrong. First of all is to strike out those wrong ones. Now you're going to be left with just 2 options. Having 2 options has increased your chance by 50% of picking the right answer. So if you have, next time you are confused or stuck in an exam, the first thing to do, if you don't know what the right answer is, just cancel the wrong answers. Then you'll be left with few options, and your chance of picking the right answer is increased by half. Trick number 3 is to use the grammatical rule. Usually when examiners are setting questions, what they pay attention to is the question and the correct answer. The remaining options, they are usually not paid much attention to, so it is possible that the examiner is going to make grammatical errors while putting the other option. This is what I mean. For example, football is a dash of luck, A game, B action. Now the fact that they use A, it means that the next word that is coming has to start with the vowel, so it can definitely not be action. And so the most suitable option grammatically for this sentence is game. So football is a game of luck. Another thing is grammatical consistency. So if you are trying to read a sentence and putting the option in it and they do not fit in grammatically, that option is likely not to be right. But examiners that are experts know all this, and they usually ensure that everything is grammatically consistent, both the right and the wrong option. That is why reading and preparing for your exam is still your best bet, but this could work sometimes. Anytime you have all of the above in the question out of 4, if you realize that one other option is wrong, then all of the above is also wrong. That is, you've eliminated 2 questions just like that. This also applies for questions that has none of the above. If none of the above is in the option and you found just one that is already right, know that the none of the above is also wrong. Reducing the wrong option helps to increase your chance of picking the right option. That is all for today's video. I believe some of those tips is going to help you in your exam. If you have any tip that works for you in exam, please put it in the comment section so that other people as well as me can also gain from it, since we are all students. I'm having a feeling like there's something I've not said. I've not said you should subscribe. Please subscribe to be a part of this community, and also like this video for YouTube algorithm. Liking this video will show this video to more students, and also share with people you think will find it helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.